unique gift options available at mancrates.com, like the Whiskey Appreciation Crate with a personalized handmade whiskey decanter and tumblers, ice sphere molds, slate coasters, and snacks. Or the Grill Master Crate with a brass knuckle meat tenderizer, cast iron smoker box, steak thermometers, and more. Man Crates packs his gift in unique containers, so watching him open his gift is an unforgettable experience. Personalization is free, and every Man Crates gift comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. He'll think it's awesome, or Man Crates will make it right. Find his perfect holiday gift at mancrates.com. That's mancrates.com. Mancrates.
The Devil's Advocates.
But do you think the Biden administration's called up Laura Ingraham and making the announcement to the world we're invading Russia with invidious troops? Come on, Trump. I mean, and I want to hear Brian Trumpsters who want to defend that crap. You know, he's a little liquor buffet. Maybe you people were just naive marks who believed he was a super genius.
All right, Pastor Johnson is on. I can put it through for you right now, and we can do a sound check if you're ready.
Do the test. Great.
Suck it up. All right, 1 second.
Just get over it.
We've all heard it.
Pastor Vicky, how you doing?
Extreme stress.
I'm good. How are you, Sandy?
Good.
Because toxic stress can hurt us physically without us even knowing it. If you worry about
Awesome. I hear everyone perfect.
Okay, can you hear her?
if you're
Yep.
feeling
Okay, great.
stress,
Vicky, just give me one moment. I've got to
text
get a
stress
couple of
to
things
211
out the way here, okay?
Find a solution.
Okay.
Information is power.
Stay informed to know what's going on. Staying informed gives me the power of knowledge.
I wake up,
Need to know what happened.
I turn on the radio.
Because information is power.
WCPT 820, where facts matter.
This is AP News. I'm Rita Foley.
Which party will control Congress?
Okay, I'm getting feedback.
This morning after Election Day, they're still counting votes.
Hopes of a red wave are butting up against
Great. Thank you. That's it.
showing by Democrats. One example, Democrat John Fetterman flipped a Republican-controlled Senate seat in Pennsylvania.
I'll be the next U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania.
The AP's Sagar Magani has this.
It was a bruising and extraordinary campaign.
We bet on the people of Pennsylvania, and you didn't let us down.
And now John Fetterman says he won't let them down. Fetterman beat Republican Mehmet Oz, the surgeon turned TV star turned politician, who hours earlier was optimistic.
When all the ballots are counted, we believe we will win this race.
Fetterman had relentlessly hammered Oz as an out-of-touch outsider while dealing with questions about his own fitness to serve after suffering a stroke in May. His win is a major rebuke of Donald Trump, who endorsed Oz. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Still too early to call Senate seats in Georgia, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona that could decide the majority. In the House, Democrats kept seats in districts in several states, but many districts in states including New York and California still have not been called. Democrats also were successful in governor's races, including races in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Republicans held on to governor's mansions in Florida, Texas, and Georgia. President Biden's going to international climate talks in Egypt this week with a message that U.S. action to fight climate change won't shift into reverse, as happened twice before when Democrats lost power. Facebook parent Meta is cutting 11,000 jobs. This is AP News. The latest now on American basketball star Brittany Griner.
Basketball star Brittany Griner has been sent to a penal colony in Russia to serve her sentence for drug possession. Griner's legal team says she left a detention center on November 4 for a penal colony, a common type of Russian prison where detainees work for minimal pay. Her lawyers say they did not know exactly where she was or where she would end up. They expected to be notified when she reached the final destination. Such transfers can take days. The 8-time All-Star center with WNBA's Phoenix Mercury and a 2-time Olympic gold medalist was convicted August 4 after police say they found vape canisters containing cannabis oil in her luggage at Moscow's main airport. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Gas is $3.80 a gallon this morning, 4 cents higher than a week ago. I'm Rita Foley, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
Here's the latest Chicago weather update. We'll see a few spotty rain showers early today. Otherwise, skies will become mostly sunny with a high in the upper 60s. Winds out of the south around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, partly cloudy alone near 58. By Thursday, sunshine, breezy, high of 72 degrees. Friday, a slight chance for rain early on. Skies will become mostly sunny with a high around 41. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki.
Currently, it's 51.
WCPT replay.
You know, what Tucker always does, Joan, is he just asks questions like, how do we know Russia did this? How do we know these aren't props? I'm just asking questions. He sits in that studio, Joan, and he never brings on anybody who is capable of going at it with him. And he just is mean and cruel every night to people.
So why do over 3 million people watch this show? That's what terrifies me, Joe.
Well, because you progressives and independents, you've got a number of different cable options. If you're a conservative and you're a mega head, every night you got one option, baby. It's the only game in town for the Republican Party base. And, Joan, I used to be in that world. They lie. There's value. There's profits in lying to their audience, and they do it well.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely.
How much time do we have, Henry?
By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online.
3 minutes.
Changing the lives of
I'm sorry?
3 minutes.
3?
Yes.
Okay, thanks so much. Of course. Just constantly remind me, okay? Like 1 minute, 2, yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, thank you.
To claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Sponsored by Age of Learning.
What's your least favorite season? Now, if you're like me, it's cold and flu season. So get relief from it this year with Mucinex DM. With cough and chest congestion relief for 12 hours in just one dose. That's 3 times longer than 4-hour products. Mucinex DM makes any season comeback season. Even cold and flu season. Get 3 times the relief in just one dose with Mucinex DM. It couldn't be simpler. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cough and cold remedies. Mucinex DM provides 12 hours of relief for chest congestion and cough, day or night. Use as directed.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
When that driver is behind the wheel, they should be focused. And when you're driving, you should be focused. Texting while driving on Illinois roads is illegal and deadly. Drive now. Do both. This message brought to you by the Illinois.
Okay, can you bring that up a bit, Henry, please?
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you.
Is that better?
If you're pregnant, scared, and feel
Yeah,
like
that's
there's
much
no way
better.
out,
Thank you.
please don't hurt or abandon.
For sure.
You have options.
We have a minute and a half until the show starts.
To staff at hospitals, emergency medical care facilities, fire, or police stations within 30 days of birth. Mothers do not have to answer any questions or give any information, and are assured of complete anonymity if they follow the Illinois Safe Haven law. Your baby deserves a chance. To learn more, call the confidential helpline at 1-888-510-BABY or visit saveabandonedbabies.org.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere. ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It helped her so much. Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month. But you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
All right, 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Now, if you're like me, it's cold and flu season. So get relief from it this year with Mucinex DM. With cough and chest congestion relief for 12 hours in just one dose. That's 3 times longer than 4-hour products. Mucinex DM makes any season come back. Even cold and flu season. Get 3 times the relief in just one dose with Mucinex DM. It couldn't be simpler. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cough and cold remedies. Mucinex DM provides 12 hours of relief for chest congestion and cough, day or night. Use as directed.
All right, stand by. Coming in 5 seconds.
Thank you. Need you to bring it up, hon.
Change the world. We can change the world. We can change the world. Change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
Hate to a place of love. It's not too late. Gotta save the children. We can't wait. Let's change the world.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. Some of you might not have expected to see me today. I've got an echo. Let's work that out. Hey, everybody. It's great. The day after the midterms, a lot of races have not been decided yet, but guess what? Some have been decided. Yay. WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. I am Santita Jackson. I want to hear from you today. What did you think of the midterms? We still have yet to get results from Wisconsin and Georgia and Nevada and Arizona. So that's why the Senate for the Democrats hangs in the balance. And it seems that, he wants to become the speaker. He's ambitious to become speaker. Congressman McCarthy declared last night, look, we've got this, but we don't know that yet. The chances are likely, they're great, that the Republicans have gotten control of the lower house, but we still do not know what has happened in the Senate. So I want to know what your thoughts are. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think about this red wave that did not happen yesterday? Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. I want to know what your thoughts are. I really want to know what your thoughts are. What did you make of what happened last night? And shout out to two of our guests from yesterday, Congresswoman-elect Delia Ramirez. She is now Congresswoman-elect. Yes, she is the first Latina elected to the U.S. House of Representatives from this part of the country. Making history, everybody, making history. So proud of her, so excited for her. And then, of course, Jonathan Jackson, my brother, so proud. They both won overwhelmingly. And I want to know what you think about their victories. Indeed, the headline from the Sun-Times is that Jonathan Jackson and Delia Ramirez declare victory, bringing new blood to the Illinois congressional delegation. Indeed, the squad itself, the progressive group in the U.S. House of Representatives, they all cruised, as the headline said, to victory. So I want to know what your thoughts are. Call me at 773-763-WCPT, 773-763-9278. What a joyous night it was, I must tell you. Not for my family, but for so many people. It was just a wonderful evening, and so many Americans have voted. So many. Did you vote? And did you have an easy time of it? Talk to me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Let's get to some of these headlines so we can get some good news. Hey, to my morning stars over here on the Santita Jackson and Friends page and on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Everybody, please go on over to YouTube. And Miss Robinson, let me see, where did I start? Okay, Shirley from Philadelphia, you all pulled one out with John Fetterman. Matt up there in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Gabrielle, how you doing? Have a blessed day. Andre, Miss Robinson, my sister from another Mr. Carol out there on the left coast. And D. Ray, and oh my goodness, and Spencer. It was good seeing you last night. Stanley. Stanley said, I hope you get to bed. Actually, I have not been to sleep. But I really wanted to see the commentary about what happened yesterday and what's still happening, because we're still counting the vote. We still might have a runoff in Georgia because you have to get 50% plus one vote. And it does not look like that will happen, but we still do not know. There's still so many outstanding votes. All right, everybody, in Chicago, it's going to be a beautiful day, 68 degrees, partly cloudy. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 65 degrees, and thunderstorms. In the NFL, the Suns will be playing, in the NBA. My goodness, the Suns will be playing the Timberwolves, and the Pelicans will be in the NHL. Goodness gracious. Now, you know what? This means I'm tired. In the NFL, the Suns, NBA, the Suns and the Timberwolves, and the Pelicans will be playing Chicago. Boom. In the NHL, the Kings shut out the Wild 1-0. So what do you think, everybody? What do you think about what happened yesterday with this election? What do you think? There were 10 candidates who made history. You had Wes Moore, who an Army veteran and best-selling author, who became the first elected Black governor of Maryland. He's only the third person in the history of the Republic to be elected governor of a state, a Black person to be elected governor of a state. Maura Healey, first openly gay woman to be elected. She broke two barriers. First female governor of Massachusetts and the nation's first openly lesbian governor. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, former White House press secretary. She was elected Arkansas governor, becoming the first woman to govern the state. And of course, her father, Mike Huckabee, Reverend Mike Huckabee, was the former governor. Maxwell Frost, a Democratic nominee, became the first Generation Z member in Congress Tuesday night. Indeed, he said that his inspirations have been Elizabeth Warren, Senator Bernie Sanders, and Reverend Jesse Jackson. He said, "We made history for Floridians, for Generation Z, and for everyone who believes we deserve a better future." Becca Balint, Democrat, became the first woman and the first openly gay person to represent the state of Vermont in Congress, and on and on and on it has gone. A lot happened, but the red wave, this wipeout that was supposed to happen, did not. So I want to know what your thoughts are. I want you to call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT, and let me know what your thoughts are about what happened yesterday. It's a nail biter. I mean, that's all I can tell you, because we still don't know what's happening in Arizona, in Georgia. We don't know what happened. We don't know what's happening, and that's going to be. We might even have a runoff in Georgia, so we might have to wait until December, Pastor Vicki Johnson, to find out exactly what is going on with this election. But look, I'm with it. I just, as long as people participate, I love it, love it, love it. How are you today, Pastor Vicki Johnson?
I am great and I am excited. Congratulations. Victory tastes so good.
Well, someone who was nipping at your heels, running around, someone who you had to admonish when he was a child, as he was running behind the choir stand with his brother Jesse. Can you believe both of them? One has gone to Congress and another is on his way. It's amazing.
Yes, it is. But who could expect anything differently?
Well, I think it's a tribute. I think Mr. Laxalt is running for the U.S. Senate out west. And it's very interesting. They didn't mention Jonathan at all. And I'm not speaking as his sister. I'm making another point, and I hope you all will hear me. It's very interesting. We want to see the political dynasties go forward, right? We want to see the business dynasties go forward. But we do not celebrate it when the civil rights community goes forward into another generation. Isn't that interesting? Because
that is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And wow.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, think about it, because they didn't mention that, and I wasn't waiting for them to, because we were at the South Shore Cultural Center last night. It was full, and people were full. Greg Mathis was there. I think that was Jonathan's first supporter. And he stayed with him from start to finish. And so many people, Ed Ham, of course, Mother Ham from Fellowship.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought about her last night. She was the chief nurse, everybody, at our church when we grew up. And I said, she is smiling down from heaven and fanning.
Yeah.
Those of us who need smile. Come on, Mother Ham, that. But it was just, it was a wonderful evening. But it was a wonderful evening for, I think, the civil rights community as we move forward, and taking those voices along with the squad and the voices of the people into the People's House, which is the U.S. House of Representatives. So you can't congratulate me, pat yourself on the back, because you had a hand in,
that's right,
in helping to rear Jonathan. We all come, when he goes, we all go with him. And that's the beauty of all of this.
That's right.
So
it's a community victory.
It really is. It really, really is. And I felt that last night. And so I want to thank everyone, just really, for all of your support. and for your prayers, and want you to continue to reach out to Jonathan and let him know, reach out to Dalia Ramirez, let them know what you need. Now's not the time to put them on automatic pilot, because the people who did not vote for them, the people who did not support them, the people who actively work against you now want to be their best friends. And that's the way politics works. Okay, so
always has, and probably always
it's not
will.
going to stop. It's not going to stop.
Yes,
So
yes.
now you just understand you got to fight the power. So, Pastor Vicki Johnson, what's going on today? I just when I think about that, that's something that I think about all the time. So let's go.
Yes. Well, good morning to you, Santita, even though you have not been asleep yet. Good morning to you, and good morning to your morning stars. There is good news. What do people have to say about you? In addition to serving as the pastor, my husband, Reverend Marion Johnson Sr., is also a funeral home chaplain who has had the privilege to hear plenty of what people have to say about their loved ones at their final services. At funerals and memorial services, all types of nice things are spoken about the decedent. Sometimes history is even rewritten to make them sound like saints, even when they really weren't. All of that is nice, and it makes those who are left behind feel good about those who are gone on. But what I want to know today is, what do people have to say about you right now as you walk and live and breathe? Are there words of kindness, honesty, or truth? More importantly, beyond what others have to say about you, what do you have to say about yourself? How we live has an impact on what is said. Ephesians, the 4th chapter, the 31st through the 32nd verses says, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you." How you live not only impacts what others say about you, but also impacts what you say and think about yourself. Be kind. Be kind to the people you know. Be kind to the people you don't know. Be kind to yourself. If you will do this, and I believe that you will, then to me, that's good news.
Amen to that. Be kind to yourself. I like that. I like that. The kinder you are to yourself, the kinder you are, chances are you will be to others.
That's right.
The more unkind you are to
if this message could get out to the political world today, as they are slandering each other and just so bitter and full of malice, if they could just learn to be kind, because in the end, we all have to work together to get the victory for the people.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really it. And that's why, really I get beyond parties. I understand you need to, look, the Democratic horse is or donkey is one I'm riding on at this point. But my point is, I want to work with everybody to create a more perfect union. And that's it. That's just where I am. I know, look, that's just it. I know God loves Republicans, Democrats, and some people I don't like, and people with whom I strenuously disagree. So let's just figure this out, everybody, because we're came over here on different ships. We're in the same boat. America's got to work for everybody.
That's right.
Look, I didn't come up with that. Reverend did. It's got to work for everybody. It's got to work for everybody.
Yes.
How can we see you at St. Thomas Lutheran Church at 80th and Jeffrey on Sunday for that hour of power, 11:45 to 12:45?
Well, on this Sunday, we will have one worship service, and that will be at 4:00 p.m. because we are honoring Royal Mickey Warren at 4:00 p.m. at St. Thomas Lutheran Church, 8000 South Jeffrey Boulevard. He is receiving the Community Service Award from St. Thomas as we celebrate our 58th year anniversary. And what better way to celebrate than to reach out to those in the community that make our jobs easier by doing what they do.
Love Mickey, Royal Warren. Love him, love him,
Yeah.
love him, love him, love him, love him. Remember his last wedding when Reverend Evans looked at him and said, I'm not going to do this again. Yeah, he's going to be mad that I said that. But we were in the Clay Evans Chapel at Push. You remember that? And we were like, oh, yeah. No, Reverend Evans didn't do this just as he was about to marry them.
Yeah. This is it.
And then Reverend reached into that back pocket. He said, okay, let's go. Oh, but Mickey is an absolute jewel, and we just thank God for him. Traveled with the Rolling Stones, such a faithful. He was the first musician my father had when he started the breadbasket meetings. He's been it was a war resistor. Just does so much. He's got so much history, and he's just a wonderful human being and a brilliant musician. And we thank God for him. And what time is it that again, so we can honor him on Sunday?
It's at 4:00 p.m. 4:00 p.m. this Sunday, November 13th, at St. Thomas Lutheran Church.
All right. Love you so much. Pastor Vicki Johnson, everybody, 80th and Jeffrey, St. Thomas Lutheran Church, 11:45 to 12:45 on Sunday. I'm so sorry that I had Dr. Shanina Knighton holding on today, the infection preventionist. But it's been a long night. Dr. Knighton, you're going to wrap me on my knuckles. I have not been to bed, but I think you'll be. My brother won this congressional seat last night, and so did Delia Ramirez. So two people I know and really admire and love won these seats, and it was just it was a long night and a long day, but it was a great one. But as we usher in this new Congress, as we bring in new blood into the Congress, what do you want as an infection preventionist, as someone who's in the healthcare space? I've got about 3 minutes. What do you want this new Congress to do about healthcare?
So for one, I want to speak specifically for my profession, Santita. A lot of people don't know this, but remember how before you used to say, I've never heard of an infection preventionist.
Yes.
So an infection preventionist, believe it or not, is really embedded and hidden in the healthcare systems. We're hidden behind closed doors, which means that because we are a value-based profession, meaning we will bring value to an organization and save them money, it's just like somebody that is taking, let's say, preventative medicine or vitamins in order for them to be better. You don't notice that you're being better by taking the vitamins. You only notice when things aren't going so well. So that's how I describe the profession of an infection preventionist. With that being said, Santita, just as you know, there's about 16,000 that are housed, and when I say housed, members of the Association for Professionals in Infection Control and Epidemiology, where there is an additional about maybe another 16 to 17,000 that are not members. So we're still talking about a total of 35,000 infection preventionists in the world, which, as you can imagine, has grown since the start of the pandemic. Well, the thing is we could use our political leaders' support in pushing forward our profession and helping them to understand our value that we have. And so when we look at such things as modernizing infection prevention staffing, that they understand that we do so much and are more than just a ratio of one infection preventionist per 100 beds. meaning, believe it or not, we are in ambulatory care settings. When there are outbreaks at, residential homes, when there are outbreaks at nursing homes, when there are outbreaks at community homes, when you have ambulatory surgery centers, when you have the advanced urgent care centers. So we've expanded our role beyond just a hospital setting, but the numbers don't reflect that. Everyone leans on us, meaning that if it is nursing that is in need of infection prevention and control practices, construction, I can name so many different things that we do. And so when I think about what our political leaders can do, it is to absolutely give us a voice, to be able to elevate our practice, to make sure that we are heard, to make sure that we are seen, and make sure that we are supported. And so I say that because just as you mentioned, I have not heard infection prevention and control explained in this way before.
Mm-hmm.
There is more than one of me, but not enough of us to go around to have those same exact practices that can keep the public safe. But yet we don't have the resources to support us. And we have to validate and continue to make a case of our value in healthcare, even though it is felt, we are not seen.
Well, amen to that. I want to thank you for that. And, now that I'm just a little closer to Congress, we should really push to get you to, we need to get you to testify before Congress and to talk about what you do and to talk about what you need, because that is really key. Just knowing what you do will help us to understand that you need to be part of the conversation too. Indeed, Dr. Shanina Knighton. Hey, Dr. Nina. Hey, Dr. Nina. That is her handle on social media. Follow her. And, reach out to these media outlets and say that you want to see her there too, because we need her. Let's talk about the midterms, everybody. I've got these phone calls, and I promise you I'm coming to you on the other side of the break on the Santita Jackson Show. Dr. Knighton, how you doing?
I'm doing, girl, running like crazy. I'm actually doing field visits right now in Baltimore, which has been pretty cool because just as I mentioned to you before, to be able to understand the different walks. So I worked in an acute care setting, but you can't explore or understand what others are going through until you're in their space.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been so amazing being here and observing the day ins and the day outs, being able to talk to other infection preventionists like myself and really understand what it is that we're going through. And in so many ways are in the same boat, but are all different. So it's been a blessing to be able to do so. So I'm almost on like a little road show.
Okay. No. Let me know because I want to know how we can help.
Absolutely. I was going to say we're getting there. And when I say we're getting there, I'll have more information about that pretty soon. So I'm still building out our research agenda. As we talked about, hygiene poverty is still on our radar when it comes to infection prevention and control. Right now, it's just making sure that we're doing that.
Okay. Well, I want to be a partner with you on that because that's hygiene poverty. I want us to really, really push that to the forefront of the conversation. But I'm going to let you go now so I can grab a couple of these other lines. I've got to get some of these callers through. But girl, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thank you for all that you do.
Look, I'm here when I can be. I promise you.
I know. Just let me know. Because you have space here always.
I appreciate you.
I love you and appreciate you. And thank you for everything that you are and do.
You.
My girl.
Absolutely. And congratulations. We had some big wins, huh?
Thank you, Soror. Hey, ooh.
Yes. Yes. Ooh. We did what we needed to do. So I'm so happy. Man. I'm so happy.
It was a blessing. Seeing my father was on the verge of tears all night long. He was just on the verge of tears. You know what? I think also my brother Jonathan has struggled. And, let's just be straight up. The colorism is very real. And he's the darkest one of us. And he was the one that people would ignore. If I start talking about it, I'll cry too. And to see what he's, and when he was a child, he didn't want to speak because he had a severe stammer, and stutter. So Jesse spoke in double time, And Jonathan, at some point, he really was reluctant to speak. So my parents would, stop. They said, no, 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 no. My father, was like, no, 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 baby, you got to talk to me. And my father even, he talks about how they would not let people come back to our home because they would ignore him, right? Because he didn't look like what they thought he should look like. And even though we all look alike. And just to see, thank you, just to see how he has developed and how God has used him and how God has used all of those challenges in his life to make him the person that he is. Because I don't know anyone more compassionate or more kind. And I'm just grateful to God that he's been used in this way. And I just ask everyone for their prayers and for Delia Ramirez, because her parents are struggling with health issues and they're working more than one job, and with no money, she just got on out there, ran for the state legislature, and then she ran for the U.S. House of Representatives. And now she's the first Latina from this part of the country to go to the U.S. House of Representatives. That means a lot. It means a lot. And I'm glad that these are two people who will carry their struggles with them. It makes me feel real good. Makes me feel real good that we'll have real people fighting for us on the floor of that House of Representatives. We need that. We need that.
We're coming back.
So, love you. Who do we have, Henry?
We have Chaparral, Attorney Jones, Attorney Connolly, Bishop Grant. CK's phone went straight to voicemail.
No worries. Thank you.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing.
Hey, everybody. Going to get to the callers in just a minute on the Santita Jackson Show. 773-763 WCPT. Anita and Pam, going to hear from you in a hot second. But first, Chaparral, what's going on? I'm ready for my holiday victuals.
Santita, and we are ready to cook for you too. And we can't wait to get everything to you. So right now, Celebrations by Us is taking some orders for Thanksgiving. So don't hesitate to give us a call, 708-526-4546. 708-526-4546. We're taking orders for your mashed potatoes, your collard greens, your mac and cheese, your string beans, as well as also your turkey, your ham, Cornish hens, whatever it is you need for your holiday table. Don't hesitate to call us. We're also doing desserts, which are our sweet potato pie, our peach cobbler, our banana pudding, our cookies, our German chocolate cake, whatever it is that you need to help satisfy your holiday needs. Don't call us. Don't hesitate to call us at 708-526-4546. We look forward to serving you. Thank you so much, Santita.
All right. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. Everybody, I want to hear from you before I go to my panel. Let me go to Pam. Pam, what's on your mind today?
Good morning, Santita, and to the panel. I guess first my mouth is watering after hearing Chaparral. So let me compose myself. And I'm going to have to do something with Chaparral real soon. So, okay.
I promise you.
Yeah, I'm serious. She rattled off my favorites. Okay, so Santita first.
Yes.
Let me say, I am so happy about Jonathan Jackson, Representative Jonathan Jackson. I'm happy because I know his background. I know the values, at least that I've seen and that have been demonstrated from family. And I believe that he is a businessman with a heart for the people. And I hope that he can transfer some of that to some of the other representatives. And I heard a little bit of his response in the interview after the victory. And he said he's very much interested in health care, making sure access is available to all people. And then he also talked about, I think, Medicare, I heard him mention.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that he has a heart for the people. And I believe that because I hear a lot of business people want to spout it, but they haven't demonstrated. So I'm excited about that for us and for the 1st Congressional District. Now, to move on, yes. Val Demings, I was disappointed in her loss, but I guess that might have been an uphill battle. Charlie Crist, nothing changed in Florida. DeSantis, I think, is a disaster. So I'd be interested in not only the Black vote turnout and others, but all populations there. Going back to Illinois, I'm glad that the state remains blue. I'm happy that now he needs to be pushed on some issues, and we need to make him do what he needs to do for the Black community. But I had no problem with his, victory speech, because I think he pointed out some clear differences and what we need to do and move forward. But we need to push him. So my question to you in the panel, Atlanta, where are we with that turnout? And did Stacey Abrams, did she concede? Or
yes, she did concede.
Are we still?
She did concede.
She did concede.
She did concede.
So okay, that disappoints me. So with and where
there was no path. There was no path to victory for her. So she understood that she needed to concede. But she put forth one heck of an effort, and I think that is what is important. Do they still have voter purging and voter suppression in Georgia? Absolutely. And it's something that you still have to fight. And, look, she should keep on running until she wins. That's what Gus Savage did. And he finally became congressman. So I'm just like, just keep on running. Make the point.
And then my last question to you in the panel. So with so many races being so close, and you talked about a more perfect union, I'm thinking, Santita, that means, and I read that book by your other sibling.
We do a lot.
Yes, you do, and we're thankful. I'm just wondering, a more perfect union, I think that means different things to different people, as we're now looking at what's going on in this country. So I'm with you. I want a more perfect union, but I guess we need to probably define that so we know exactly what we're talking about. But I'll hang up and listen. But we've got to keep pushing. We've got to make this country what we want it to be. And I'm about, Santita, with kindness, not only extending kindness, but asking people don't accept kindnesses or a person's kindness as a weakness, right? Because too many of us see kindness as weakness, and we need to just dispel that right away. So thank you for letting me have my say.
Of course, Pam. But if you see kindness as weakness, then you see God as weakness. And we all know that is not true. Love is weakness.
That's right.
No. That's God is love. God is kindness. God is mercy. God is justice. That's not weak. It is weak to be cruel. It is weak to break someone and not make someone. That's weak. So we have to change our perception of what is important. Before I go to Anita, let me bring on this wonderful panel. Love you, Pam. Thank you so much. And, like I said, continue to reach out to Jonathan so you can give him your support and let him know what you need from him. Because the people who opposed him yesterday, we could not get many people to hand out bills with his name on them, the little cards. They were there last night, but that's all right. That having been said, you have corporate types who now want to be his best friend because he's in Congress. He can help. So what we have to do is lobby for ourselves too. You understand what I mean? We have to understand that is how this works. I'm sending you so much love, Pam. And of course, you've got Attorney Darrell Jones, Transformative Justice Coalition Chair. Attorney Erin Connolly, who's got on her shades this morning because she's got dark circles just like I do. Bishop T. Lane Grant, Acting National Director of Rainbow Push. Woo! So why don't you tell us what you thought about last night, Attorney Erin Connolly, because you brought your candidate, and of course, to be fair, Jonathan is your candidate too, but you have been working with State Representative Delia Ramirez, who is now the Congresswoman-elect. And I just want to thank you for really making her part of this show. Really, really, really. We really, really have appreciated speaking with her. But talk to me, what do you think about yesterday? And, all the members of the squad cruised to victory. AOC, Cori Bush, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman. I mean, they just won handily in their districts, even though they are being opposed by big right wing money. Aaron.
And where was the coverage of those big wins for those progressives and those progressive values, right? I think, well, we can talk about that later, but just would need to throw that out there. And the corporate cable media, we're not seeing the hype around that. And there should be some. And we saw places like Florida where we're running more moderate candidates that we're not investing in. We can't get across the finish line. But here in Illinois, it was an honor, as it always is, to be with Delia Ramirez, as I have been the last 5 years on Election Day, and watch her vote with her mom for herself to be the first Latina congresswoman from the Midwest. It was a wonderful day. We made many stops at poll locations, as I'm sure Jonathan did as well, and talked to voters who were excited by Delia's record, who knew her, who, we met a lot of dogs. It was just a beautiful election day here in Illinois, and we saw the progressive power. We saw some big wins on the congressional side, holding those seats that had gone into a potential, toss-up category at the last minute. So, but we still have some disappointments and some things to watch. I was so excited, which is why I have dark circles, to see John Fetterman win very, very late last night. It was great to knock on doors in Allegheny County, where my whole family is from, outside of Pittsburgh, and see Allegheny County show up for former Braddock, Pennsylvania Mayor John Fetterman, who will now go to the Senate with his amazing wife, Giselle Fetterman, who's a just brilliant community organizer and advocate, and has really lived those progressive values in the Mon Valley. So that was super exciting for me.
Bless your heart. Bishop T. Lane Grant, what do you make of yesterday? I mean, the big red wave did not happen all across the country. And of course, we have these big races here. We're about to send the first Latina from the Midwest to the U.S. House of Representatives. We're extending the civil rights legacy and sending that back to the U.S. House of Representatives. Interestingly, they talked about Mr. Laxalt going to Congress, but they don't want to touch the civil rights movement going to Congress. But that's all right. We're going anyway. What's on your mind today, Bishop Grant?
Wade never made it to the shore. And part of our victory is, of course, sending Jonathan Jackson to the United States Congress. Last night was an example of civics in action. You had, the idea of money, mobilization, and marginalizing a certain segment of the American public that they actually turned into a movement. And when we look at Fetterman in Pennsylvania, we look at the races here in Illinois. We look at the tightness in Georgia. Looks like Georgia's going to go into a runoff. I mean, there are a lot of high points across the country that give us a sense of what the next should be. We never ever win a game at halftime. I'd rather have 50% of something than 0 of nothing. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we've got to really look at these numbers and look at the opportunities and really identify those key areas where turnout and turnover, because there were a lot of close races. Mm-hmm. Indiana was a close race where they spent millions of dollars on a candidate that was not from that area. And yet, and still, we learned what we learned from your father, is trees grow not top down, but bottom up.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that, Bishop T. Lane Grant. And, of course, Attorney Darrell Jones. What did you see with the voting? And what did you make of what happened yesterday? This big red wave that everyone predicted was coming, it did not happen. I mean, and I think that the guesstimates are that the Democrats are going to lose control of the House just ever so slightly, not by a huge margin, but by just a few seats, which is going to be very interesting, because it'll be interesting to see how Marjorie Taylor Greene and that extreme right wing is able to push soon-to-be Speaker McCarthy. That's going to be fascinating to watch. But let's start with what you saw on the ground with the vote in Georgia.
Well, Santita, good morning, and certainly congratulations to Jonathan on just a wonderful, wonderful victory.
Yes, and he'll
I
be
tell
with
you,
us
one
very
of the-
shortly. So we'll all hear from him.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, let me start by saying one of the things that I have continually said is that I have been voting for years in elections, and I am yet to be in a polling booth and look to either side of me and see a poll voting. It just doesn't happen. So, with that being said, one of the things that we saw out of Georgia and across the nation is that young folks showed up. Those are the people that they just don't count in these polls because they don't know how they're going to show up. We have African Americans that showed up, and one of the things that they just in 2020 it happened, and it's shown it here again in 2022, and that is that you can't really get a poll on new voters. You can't get a poll on people that were not historically voting. They then come out and vote, and what Georgia has shown, what many of the states have shown, is that the polling system, they've got to change. Now, some polls in some places, they're fairly accurate, right? In Wisconsin, it looks somewhat close, but that's even much closer than they anticipate right now because they can't call it. And again, that's another situation where it was black voters and young voters that were showing up outside what their expected numbers. So you really cannot rely on these polls. Kudos to all the young voters. Kudos to all the African American and the voters of color because they have shown up. They answered the bell. And when many of the prognosticators were predicting that they weren't going to show up, that it wasn't going to happen, that there was going to be, this wave, blah, 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 they said, nope, this is democracy. We have a vote, and we're showing up. So I think what we saw was that voting showing up in the push to have the reimagining of how polls should be done in our country.
Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Let us know what your thoughts are. We're going to have Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson on with us in just a few minutes. And we'll see who else we get today. But I want to hear from you, 773-763-WCPT. Anita from North Carolina. What's on your mind, Anita?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? And wonderful nonviolent victory in the day of Putin and insurrection. This is not more necessary, Martin Luther King. I thank you for all your sacrifices, and I thank your family for carrying that tradition on. You just don't know how important it is right now to the history of man. I mean, globally, we're all trying to get along with each other, and we have to, because we're going to not be here if we don't figure out something soon. And I heard about Brittany Griner. What's her last name? I don't know her last
Griner.
name. But yeah, her situation is getting worse, and I still think Reverend Jackson needs to deal with that and the issue of the nuclear wars and disagreeing with American people. Is difficult, but we can make it progressive. And I'm so grateful that I think you said your brother's going to come on, Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. But I thank him for all his sacrifices that he made. I'm so sorry that he was politically assassinated, and it's because he's so great and he's so wonderful, and I'm so grateful. He told me something when he first got in the office, and it ended up working out for me. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so loyal to him for that. And I would like to work with him about, keeping the things in place that he knew needed to be in place, including that airport expanding. And I'd like to see a Michael Jackson museum so that we could get some commerce going on in that south suburban area and south side of Chicago. So, and they're doing that here in Raleigh, North Carolina. They expanded the airport, and they're developing like wildfire here. So if he could ever come and visit this area and see how it's changed in just a few years, his thoughts about the airport and making that happen for the people on that south side and bringing some revenue in was just magnificent. And I know that's why he got kicked out. because he was doing it. He was making it happen, and I hope Jonathan can carry on the tradition.
Well, pray for Jonathan. Now he's going in, and now Delia Ramirez is going in. Now the squad, they have the support of their communities because they won overwhelmingly, even as dark money tries to take them out. It's a blessing. Things are changing in America. We've got the first Generation Z member of Congress, Maxwell Frost, who said, he takes his inspiration from Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Reverend Jesse Jackson. So, let's just keep on pushing. And Miss Anita from North Carolina, I'm sending you much, much love. You know what? In fact, why don't you hold on? Because we're going to bring on Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson in just a few minutes. And you say so many wonderful things about him. I want you to at least be able to say hello to him, okay? Okay.
I saw him at Push the first time when they was fighting the guy with the commander that was putting the electrodes on the black men.
Oh, yeah, John Burge. Right.
That was the first time I heard about Jonathan. I said, Lord, he was nowhere around, but I felt that presence around that Push office when I was stepping up for the first time. Yeah, he's fierce.
Well, stay right there so you can say hello to him. But before you go, Bishop Grant, talk to me. What do you think? Do you think that this is this is giving us a hint of what's going to happen in 2024? Because it seems like 2024 has begun. I think Donald Trump is going to be announcing next week that he's going to run for the presidency. And then we, in all likelihood, won't know what's going to happen in the Georgia Senate race because it does not look like, according to the Secretary of State and the trends that they see, that either Senator Warnock should I say neither Senator Warnock nor Mr. Walker will get 50% plus 1 vote. So what do you make of this time? It just seems, like we're on pins and needles here.
Well, the wave, simply put, was a ripple. And the narrow margins of the midterms are going to bode well for us when you talk about the squad and other progressives who won on last night. This was the most expensive midterm that produced no expansion. When you look at someone like Fetterman in Pennsylvania, he's proven that if you keep the fight, you can win the fight. And so I think several things have to happen. We have to really look at, Daryl, the impact that movement has over money and the momentum that we need. Georgia is a perfect template of what can happen around the country. When you take out that third candidate in Georgia, I suspect you're going to have a Warnock win. And it shows that you got to go the distance. And it is yet to be seen. Warnock has done it before. He's gone the distance. So if I was a wagering person, I put it all on Warnock to go the distance. And it's the real value of this election season right now. We've got to understand in 12 to 14, 16 months, we're going to be right in the thick of the Supreme Court issues, legislative issues, economic issues. And there's no better time for us to collaborate and really organize and mobilize for a big, big season for some big, big wins.
Everybody call us at 773-763-9278 because, Bishop, we can win. We can win, but you can only win if you register to vote and vote. Reverend Jackson said there's a freedom train coming, but you got to register to ride. I think you heard that, Ford. I think you heard that. Attorney Jones and Attorney Connolly. You got to get registered. You got to get involved. And so many Americans have been involved in this election, and we're still involved because we're still counting votes, and we will be for a few more days. And I'm with that. I want you to call me at 773-763-9278, 763-WCPT. Want to hear your thoughts about this election. And I want to know what your experience was. Did you experience any intimidation? I've got less than a minute, Attorney Daryl Jones. I mean, is there anything that you saw that was illegal, that violated the spirit of fair elections? 1 minute.
Yeah, absolutely, Santita. One of the things that we were able to pick up, we had a command center national command center that we did out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. One of the things we were able to pick up was something that was happening in St. Paul, Minnesota. And in St. Paul, Minnesota, in this one particular jurisdiction, this one particular polling place, they actually had a pledge that they were requiring Latino Americans to read. It was written in order for them to vote. And the pledge, was talking about, they're voting their conscience or voting, this really odd thing that was only offered to Latino and required of the Latino voters to vote. And it was only offered in English. In English. So it ended up intimidating many of them because they were thinking that if they couldn't read it, they couldn't vote. And so, it had the impact of certainly suppressing voters that were in St. Paul, Minnesota, in that particular precinct. We're now putting that under investigation, and we've turned it over to Election Protection and some of the other folks to get involved in the investigation. And we're now looking at a lawsuit based on what they had going on there. This is something that they actually had written up in one of their policy manuals in this particular polling place jurisdiction, in this county, in this jurisdiction. So, we're going to be going more deeply into that and find out what other practices are there that were suppressing voters in that particular area. That, I believe, was one of the most offensive things that we came across. We also came across another issue out of Ohio where they had a shortage of a lot of people and a shortage of machines and things that were there. So they were asking husbands and wives to go in together to be able to vote.
Is that
together.
legal? I've got about 10 seconds. Literally.
Not legal at all. Both of which are violations of our rights to vote.
Hold that thought. Back with more in just a minute. That is insane, Daryl. These people, they just don't stop. Please get Congressman-elect Jackson on, and in fact, I will go right to him. And
Santita?
yes, Bishop Grant, I was letting you go, but thank you so much for being with us today. Hello?
I'll give you a call.
Please do.
Thank you.
I am
This is a
around.
pleasure. Thank
Oh no, thank you. Because I know this kind of throws the rhythm of your day off, but thank you so much for being with us today.
No. This is working. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No, I just know you got a whole organization to run, so this is just a lot to do.
Hi, Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
So Terry O'Neill Attorney O'Neill is his phone's going straight to voicemail right now.
Her phone, and it will. She's out west.
Right. Okay. But I have everyone else on for the panel next, and I'm just about to call.
Who do we have?
All right, we have specifically Attorney Mathis and Dr. Starks.
Okay, and we still have Attorney Jones and Attorney Connolly.
Correct.
Fantastic. Okay, and if you would reach out to the congressman, please.
Yeah, I just called him. He wants me to call back in like a minute or two. So
fantastic. Well, bring him on closer to when we're coming up at what, 7:04, 7:05?
Yeah. I'll bring him on just before then.
Thank you so much. Well, let me say hello to everybody else. Attorney Mathis. Attorney Mathis?
Oh, no.
Okay, Attorney Mathis. Janice. Dr. Starks?
Yes, how are you?
Okay, Attorney Mathis.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. I guess I guess one of the I guess an upside is that I'm going to have Jonathan on.
That's great.
Bless his heart. Well, no, I told him, I would call his office. He was like, "You can call me, please." I said, "No, I'll call your office. I want to respect the process," and I do, because I know I'm not the only one who wants to speak with him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to understand that I'm not the only one. Yeah, but I still don't. I don't like to really
This
work
one
that piece.
day, for this one occasion, you can. This one day, for this one occasion, you can pull right.
Well, you know, for the audience, yes. And it's everyone is so great, you know, and people are excited about his win, which is great. Watching Dad last night was worth it all, because he was on the, you know, Dad will cry, and he was on the verge of tears.
Absolutely.
Back in about a minute.
At the drop of a hat, and he was on the verge of tears all night long. I said, bless his heart, you know. And just to think, when my parents moved to Chicago, my mother said she saw these tall buildings and when they were driving into the city, and she said, Jesse, do you think we'll get to know anybody here? This place is so big. And she said, little did I know. I said, oh, wow. Bless her heart. She said, I had no idea what God had in store for us. So you just never know. You just never know. And the people of Chicago have been so good to us. So just God bless them. And God bless us all. Whew.
All right, Congressman's ready to go, and we're about to go.
Thank you so much.
Never mind. We have about 30 seconds.
Congressman-elect Jackson, how are you today? I think we almost have him. Okay.
Should be good now.
Okay, Congressman-elect Jackson.
Hello.
Hey, sweetie, we're about to come up. Hold on one moment, please.
Hey, babe. Good morning.
Good morning.
Stand by
We've got
about 5.
Dr. Starks here and Janice Mathis. Y'all sending you their love this morning.
Congressman Jackson. Hey, Dr. Stark. How are you, my friend?
Stand by.
Oh my gosh, never. All right, there are 2 more minutes of commercials.
2 more minutes? Okay, well, you all can talk. We have 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay, so listen, I am so glad that you won, and I know that you will do an excellent job in the Congress. Absolutely. So, God bless. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Uncle Bob. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thrilled to death. I think it's just a thrill to life. It's just wonderful. I wasn't surprised, but I'm very happy.
Well, God bless you, Janice. I was in Miss Mathis. I was down in South Carolina, and somebody mentioned your father's name to me. I was in Charleston about 2 weeks ago. Yep. God bless. Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't know. It was like all those coaches knew each other and were very good friends. Yeah. In that era.
Play in their cities, so they had to travel all over the creation to get a game. That was what segregation brought. You couldn't play Greenville High, so you had to play Augusta and Asheville, and you know they meant it for evil, but it turned out good.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, they had a real statewide network of college coaches, of high school coaches that played together.
Turn them into college coaches. That's amazing. But look, Janice knows football. Boy, oh boy. Homegirl was like talking about how
back in 15.
Thank you so much. How Herschel Walker was played and kind of offense, defense. I said, Lord have mercy. Here we go. Stand by, everybody. I have a lot of people who want to speak to you, who want to hear from you this morning, Jonathan. So stand by, Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson.
We can change the world. We can change the world. Change the world.
This This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love. It's not too late. Gotta save the children. We can't wait. Let's change the world.
Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, the day after the midterms. Boy, am I excited today. What a wonderful result we had. We did not have the red wave that had been predicted, so the Republicans might overtake the U.S. House of Representatives, but just barely. So that changes the politics, the calculus of how business will be done. Very, it makes a big difference. It means that Kevin McCarthy won't be able to be with the moderates. He's going to have to go with the Marjorie Taylor Greens. What's that going to be like? What is going to happen over the next couple of years? U.S. Senate. Seems like the Democrats just might hold on. We will see after we get the results in Georgia and Wisconsin and Arizona and Nevada. We will see. And of course, we've got as our special guest, Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson. I'm so excited that he is with us this morning. So let me get to some of these headlines so we can get to him and to this wonderful panel, Dr. Bob Starks, Attorney Janice Mathis, Darrell Jones, and Attorney Aaron Connolly. In Chicago, we'll have a high of 68 degrees, beautiful day, partly cloudy. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 65 degrees, thunderstorms. In the NBA, the Suns will be playing the Timberwolves, and the Pelicans will be playing Chicago. In the NHL, the Kings shut out the Wild. 1-2-0, everybody. Results are still coming in from the midterm elections, and while many key races have yet to be called, both parties are already celebrating historic victories. Voters across the country elected several breakthrough candidates. We got our first woman governor of Massachusetts, who's also the first openly lesbian governor of Massachusetts. We got the first Black governor of Maryland and the first Black Attorney General, Wes Moore. What a night it was. What a night it was. How will that play out in our politics? Will it be a phenotypic change or a philosophical change? We'll have to find out. More on the Santita Jackson Show. Everybody, we are searching for financial freedom, and people are struggling in America. 1 in 4 Americans will not have Thanksgiving this year because they cannot afford it. They don't have $100 to get a turkey, to get the fixings, none of that. And so people really need help. People are living on their credit cards. They're running up extraordinary credit card debts. They don't think that they can hold on to their homes because their money is funny. If they don't even think about purchasing homes because they've got student loans. They need to refinance their existing homes so they can stay in them. There's so much going on. They need to get loans. They've been turned down. If you call Team Hochberg, they can work things out for you. Are you using that debit card? Well, you shouldn't be. You need to get a credit card, but you need to get a plan. You need to get a plan. If you have a credit card and extraordinary debt, you need to get a plan so that you can get out from underneath that debt. But do not negotiate with this credit card company yourself. Get Team Hochberg to do it. They're experts at it, and they will be respected by the credit card companies as they seek justice for you. Tom and Sonia did that. They have 2 children. They struggle to pay their mortgage, and they had $100,000 worth of debt on 17 credit cards. It can happen to anyone, everybody, if you're charging your food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, they reached out to Team Hochberg. They got a free consultation. That's the first thing that's going to happen for you. Tell them everything. And then they came back to Tom and Sonia with a plan. They were able to get them an FHA loan, and they lowered their credit card debt. And they're eliminating it and lowered their payments by $2,800 a month. Does that sound familiar? It could be you. So call them at 855-56-DAVID, 855-56-DAVID, or go to 56david.com, 56david.com, so that you can get out from under the debt, everybody. You don't deserve that. It doesn't have to be. I'm Santita Jackson telling you to reach out to Team Hochberg. Well, Dr. Bob Starks, preeminent political scientist, the executive director of the National Council of Negro Women, the preeminent Black women's organization in the United States of America, Attorney Aaron Connolly, brilliant political strategist and organizer, and the chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition. I've snuck in a little surprise on you this morning. We got Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson. Now, they were talking about all of these other people who were representing these political and social traditions. You got Mr. Laxalt, whose father has been prominent in American politics. And you've had the Bushes, you've had the Kennedys. But you know what's interesting? Last night they did not mention Jonathan Jackson, not at all, carrying forth this civil rights tradition. They did not mention Delia Ramirez at all. First Latina from the Midwest elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. But we're so excited that he is here with us today. And so are you, because so many of you are tuning in because you want to hear from him this morning. Welcome to the show, my dear brother, and I do mean that by blood and spirit. I love you so much this morning. I cannot even hide it. I love you, Jonathan. Congratulations.
I love you, my sister Santita, and I was listening to your radio program. And this is the first radio program I am doing since the election results. So I am honored to be on WCPT, my source for news and information. Love you, girl.
I love you, Jonathan. I love you. So talk to me. What does this victory mean to you, and what do you mean to do when you go into Washington?
Well, I want to first say thank you to all the voters, supporters, volunteers, donors, and the WCPT family. I'm excited that I didn't see a red wave coming, and true enough, it didn't. Our fears are trying to be stoked. It was a very nasty campaign season, from imageries and language and commercials and ads. It hit another record spending level. They put the face of crime and on the pictures of African Americans, the imagery from Wisconsin across the country. We've seen these tactics before. And I just had it in my heart, my belief, that there were more good people than bad people out here, and that people were not to be gullible and made a fool out of. And true enough, we've got to destroy some more ignorance, but by all means, that the good people stood up. Now there are a lot of election rules that we have to be very much concerned about. Janice Mathis, Attorney Janice Mathis, whom I admire and adore, she understands this better than anyone, that the issue now is not just securing the right to vote, but who gets to count the vote. This is the challenge that we're facing now, and we're going to be confronted with over the next couple of days. So same-day voting is counted first. Early voting is counted second. Mail-in voting is counted third. So the longer that the obstructionists can delay the count of vote, intimidate voters, intimidate workers from going to the polls to count the votes that have now been assembled and accumulated, then this is where the strife begins. So let's be vigilant. There should be federal protection around these polling sites where the votes are now being accounted for, and we need to strengthen voting laws into the future.
Amen to that. Amen to that. You laid out a whole lot of issues last night that you want to touch upon, like contract compliance. Many of us don't realize that, please, Boeing is really a subcontractor of the United States government. They get so much of their money from the government. And, we could get, I think small businesses could get those contracts too if we knew about the process, Jonathan. I mean, there's a lot of money out here, but it just doesn't get down to the people.
Well, Santita, one thing I saw is Walmart is fantastic in distribution and supplying items from different sources around the world. And they were trying to go into India with this technology of distribution. And what was agreed upon is that Walmart could come into India, but they could not do retail. They could come in with their expertise from their capital and do wholesale. So as a result, they set up a wholesale network, and they were able to bring in lower price goods, quality goods, and small retailers were then able to get those goods at a better price and pass them on to the consumer, and it expanded the retail sector across the country of India. So India is very conscious on making certain businesses smaller to help the neighborhoods grow. And it's been wildly successful. So the grocery industry started flourishing. It didn't shut down the mom and pop shops. And so I think when we talk about these big box outlets, you see it in the Northeast where they have a lot of big box ordinances. I wouldn't say go that far, but they're very conscious of keeping their bed and breakfasts open. And we need to have more incentives in our financial structure to grow small businesses. Everyone talks about it. Everyone knows they're the source of job growth, but they don't put the incentives behind it to make sure small businesses are sustainable and can grow.
Well, why did they not do that? I mean, the big box stores, the big corporations survived the pandemic, but so many mom and pop and just independent businesses were flushed down the tubes.
Well, if you look at it from the point of government, they want to collect the revenue and make it as simple and easy on their part. So if you deal with one big box retail chain that's, let's say, doing $40 million a year in revenue, and you're going to get 2% off of it, $800,000, you know their accounting and systems and everything are in place, versus dealing with 100 smaller mom and pop shops, and their books and records may have some challenges, and their capitalization may not be that clear. You know, how many of them would it take to accumulate 40 million in sales, and the government being able to get their revenue? So they prefer to deal with a more sophisticated big box retailer. But we need to change that around. Help those smaller retailers. It's more work, but it's worth it to all of us in the long term.
You know, we're talking with Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson from the 1st Congressional District of Illinois. Indeed, it is a seat that is the longest held seat by an African-American in the history of the Republic. And from Oscar DePriest to him now. And of course, you had the passing of the torch, if you will, this unbreakable, beautiful sculpture that Congressman Bobby Rush, affectionately known to us as Uncle Bobby, the man who surrendered. He actually sought refuge in our home when we were babies, Jonathan, when the FBI were looking for him in the immediate aftermath of the killing of Mark Clark and Fred Hampton. We love him so much. You know what I just want to do before you go around robin with this wonderful panel, so they can, I guess it's not meet the press, but just ask him a question or just share with him your thoughts about what we need from this new Congress. Dr. Starks?
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations on the win, Congressman Jackson. My question to you is, what committees would you prefer to be on once you get to the Congress?
Thank you so much, Dr. Starks.
Notice I said prefer, not absolute. Okay.
So I didn't know that as a congressperson, we have to start raising money for the party, for the DCCC and other things. So I'm learning some of the inner workings. So you want to try to get on a committee where you can help raise money for the party. And that's and so everyone laughed at me. I've asked senior leadership about it. They're like, pick something else, Junior. Like, you can't and like a freshman. I said, you asked, so like, wish upon a star. So I really would at this time like to look at it'd be a long shot, energy and commerce. Energy and commerce is so vast, from power lines to oil to alternative energy to solar and wind farming and communications. I had no idea that energy and commerce was so broad. Congressman Bobby Rush was on that committee. Congressman Robin Kelly is on that committee. So if that's possible. Second would probably be financial services. I would love to work with Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a dear friend, my first congressional endorsement, supporter. I understand financial institutions and markets well, so that would be a natural. People wouldn't have to explain things to me. I can share with them insights on what needs to be fixed and how we can fix it. I've been on the other side. And then probably the third thing, if I can, be foreign affairs. The economy is so intertwined with the international that I am concerned about climate change and war. You're going to start looking at regions of the world that are uninhabitable. So you're going to start moving population to other countries. I actually think about Poland a lot. I was there maybe 3 years ago, and to think that 3 million people, I don't necessarily like the term refugee, but But now 3 million people are now refugees from Ukraine that have moved into Polish citizens' homes. And how sustainable is that? And I can only think of a bad guest staying in my house for like a long weekend, but they're very loving people, and they didn't need to build hotels. The Polish people opened their doors and let their neighboring brothers and sisters in. It's quite a remarkable story that I would like to see further explore. But they just absorbed 3 million people overnight because they took them into their homes. So that's just phenomenal. So, but I do know that's not sustainable in the long term. And they put them into the school systems and everything good and great. So I'd like to confront those issues.
Well, all 3 of those fit your background and your learning at the university. So it would be great if you could be on those 3 committees. Absolutely.
That would be. Janice Mathis.
Dr. Stark.
Oh, sorry, Jonathan. Well, well, of course I would give it to him. Janice Mathis, Attorney Mathis.
Well, that first question is the one that I would ask. But first, I just want to say congratulations. And all the people of Chicago are so fortunate to have you as their representative. I had to think of another question, and I thought about, would you be in favor of flying in young people from Chicago, from your district, to serve as pages so that they can see how democracy is supposed to work?
Have them go where? I didn't hear it.
To bring them on as pages. And I thought they ended that program in the U.S. House of Representatives because of, the bad behavior of these other congressmen.
Yeah, they don't know how to behave.
Mm-mm.
But what do you think that this election says generally about the importance of the ground game and having people who know neighborhoods be directly in contact with voters?
That's a loaded question, Janet. So to the listening audience, Attorney Mathis is an expert at this, and she knows very well that there are records amounts of money that are being spent. Our governor here, Governor Pritzker, in his first term, he spent $171 million for his initial election for his first term. For the Senate race in South Carolina, the chair of the DNC, Mr. Harrison, spent, I believe, $114 million, Attorney Mathis.
That sounds about right.
Right. So, and that's a state of 5 million people. And so you would think when it's time to run the next time for someone, there would be some statewide infrastructure left in place. And in fact, it's not. They're not student chapters of organizations on campuses, the pipeline of interns and exposing our children and young students and young minds to their colleagues in the Senate, in the House, and people who want to be politically, socially, civically engaged. They're not available. So I am very excited about, for example, Congressman Frost, Maxwell Alejandro Frost out of Orlando, that he's the first person in Congress from Generation Z. So that's a huge body of people. The median age in the Congress now is 58 years of age. So it's going to be a young man near 25 years of age, and very profound. He says his generation is not living beyond their means. They don't have the means to live. And so talking about climate change, something I'm very concerned about. He's talking about gun violence. And so his voice is going to be refreshing coming in there. So yes, we do need to align the money to the grassroots to, if I enjoyed what DNC Chairman Howard Dean had done under his tenure. He had a 50-state strategy. Remember him flipping 2 seats in Louisiana. Louisiana is the second blackest state in the country, and it had 1 congressperson with better than 40% blacks in the state. Congressman Cleo Fields was the second African American to go to the Congress from Louisiana since Reconstruction. When David Dukes challenged him, that reduced it to one congressperson, African American, in the state of Louisiana. Congressman Cleo Fields got into the Congress in 1992, 30 years ago, with Congressman Bobby Rush. And there's not been two black Congress people in Louisiana in the last 30 years. And the state is now more African American, not less. And our representation has not grown. So, to your point, absolutely, we've got to put the money to the grassroots. People have to have a 50-state strategy and give these young people a chance, like Maxwell Alejandro Frost.
Jonathan Jackson.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. I mean, I knew we'd get some great information from him, Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson. Well, if you can stay with us during the break, I'd love for the chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition, Attorney Darrell Jones, to ask you a question. And then, of course, we have got Attorney Aaron Connolly, who's been working so closely with your friend and colleague, State Representative, now Congresswoman-elect Delia Ramirez. Both of you were endorsed by Bernie Sanders. Wow, wow, wow. And then, of course, we're bringing up Attorney Terry O'Neill after the break. But, it's just what a wonderful day it is. And I just have to tell you, it's just a moment of personal joy for me to call you Congressman-elect. You're my baby brother, and I've seen you work so hard throughout your life. I've seen you overcome so much, and you've used every challenge in your life to become a better person, to be a kinder person, to become more compassionate. And I just couldn't be prouder to have you.
Amen.
I just couldn't be prouder to have you as a brother, and more blessed, because I know in the most difficult times in my life, there's been no one closer to me. You are the true definition of a brother, and I love you with all of my heart. Stay right here for more of the Santita Jackson Show.
I can hear a tear in your voice. Don't start crying.
You know I will. Oh, boy, my brother knows me so well. He knows I'll start crying, and these lashes will start going ding.
Touching and true tribute.
But it was true.
So touching.
It was the truth, though. It's the truth. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I love my brother so much. But Attorney Aaron Connolly, you want to say something to Congressman Jack, Congressman-elect Jack?
Yes.
What, you take off your shades now.
I'm so sorry. I did take off my shades. I have coffee, so we're all set, I'm sure.
She hasn't been to bed.
Late into the night celebrating.
I haven't been to bed.
What a wonderful, wonderful night.
Oh my gosh. Because I was like, if somebody say something.
The only night that was okay is election night.
Absolutely. Oh, boy. Haven't been to bed. But I was very excited. So I, couldn't go. So you want to say anything to Jonathan, to Congressman-elect Jackson?
Congressman-elect Jackson, congratulations. So when are you heading to your new member orientation? Are you excited?
Yes, on the 13th.
Awesome.
Yes, I am very excited. I've met some pretty incredible people. The stories of many of these colleagues is awesome. Some people have been shot that got involved in activism to fight gun violence. Some people have experienced hardships that are remarkable. One of the young men from Florida, I can't think of his name right now, but his son was in the class being shielded by a teacher when there was a school shooting, and his child survived, and the teacher's child died. So here those people tell you their story and what prompted them to get involved, and heart-wrenching, and they take that passion to come to the Congress to make a difference. So remarkable.
Darrell, you there? Attorney Darrell Jones?
I am here. Congratulations, Jonathan. Congratulations, man. It's just awesome. I know that Barbara and I both look forward to working with you on some voting rights issues, and of course we'll be at your doorstep on some voting rights stuff.
The door is open. You got the key. Come on in. It feels like a kitchen table conversation. Now let's do it. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Well, this is exciting. This is exciting. Let me know when you have to go, Jonathan, because I certainly don't want to have you. I don't want to mess up your schedule for today.
Well, you have to clear your schedule for civil rights work and keep it open. You can address it. So I'm wide open for this.
Well, because I will ask. Well, and Aaron, of course, you can give a comment or question when we get on the other side of the break, because we're about a minute from that. Where does civil rights fit in Congress? Does it?
We have to make it fit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, we have to make it fit. The problem is the campaign finance rules and the donors and other things. It's not their priority. So it's not a money issue. It's not a money raising issue. It's a moral issue. And we have to prioritize it.
I think that you're right. But so many people run away. I'm sorry. How much time do we have on?
30.
Okay, great. Okay, coming up.
Stand by.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world. I am green.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. We have as our special guest, Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson from the 1st Congressional District of Illinois. Indeed, it is the longest held seat by an African American in the history of the Republic. We are joined by, of course, Attorney Aaron Connolly, brilliant political organizer, the executive director of the National Council of Negro Women, our oldest and most prestigious Black women's advocacy organization in the United States. We've got Dr. Robert Starks, preeminent scholar and political scientist, and of course, champion of our voting rights and voter protection. Of course, the chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition, Attorney Darrell Jones. Jonathan Jackson, well, let me go to you, Aaron, and then to you, Attorney Jones, because, of course, on the other side, we had comments and questions. Attorney Aaron Connolly, comment or question for the Congressman-elect?
Well, first of all, congratulations to you, Congressman-elect Jackson. I'm so excited to see you go to Washington and live the values that we all heard you speak about at that amazing endorsement rally with Bernie Sanders this summer, right? So I would love to know, what is your plan and focus with regards to Medicare for all and bringing up the rest of the population to what the Democrats were able to secure for seniors with regards to funding prescription drugs in a way that allows folks to, have their food and their prescription at the same time, which is really important. So, what is your plan for healthcare? The big one.
Well, I am aligned with Senator Bernie Sanders 100% on Medicare for all. That it's imperative. I hear the stories every day. I was in a restaurant the other day and a senior citizen, I call them special citizens, if you have a head full of gray, and to her daughter, says, Mr. Jackson, I want you to meet my mother. Mother is older, 83. She was reluctant, didn't want to disturb me. And she says, no, we got you. We want to talk with you. Another story of someone that's worked for 37 years, that's pensioned, who pays $700 a month in insurance and doesn't, and the deductible is $6,000. And she says he goes to the doctor, stands on a scale, gets a telescope, and when the person asks him, how do you feel? Well, like, I feel the same way. I could have done this myself. that we don't have enough doctors in these neighborhoods. We have insurance, but not enough doctors. There's no health care. Second part is she is splitting her medicine because she's on fixed income. With the cost of food and inflation, she doesn't have enough money for food and her medicine, so she's taking half the dose, which is heartbreaking. So I am all in for Medicare for All. I want to get on the team with, stay on the team with Senator Sanders, take instructions. I'm not trying to lead it. Follow the path that he has blazed. And on the, was there another part to that? On the prescription drugs? Yeah, think about insulin. That patent has been expired. Why is insulin so high? I'd like to deal with some of this like a business issue. Let's put up the top 10 diseases and figure out which ones can be solved and knock one of them off the list in a time certain, the next 3 years, 5 years. Asthma can be cured immediately with some education and some inhalers. Like, why are people still dying? We had a dear friend, Mr. Steve Cobble, died 4 years ago from asthma. Like, it's painful, and that's something that can be rectified. Asthma inhalers in Saudi Arabia and Gulf states are free, and we're still charging $100 for a prescription. So I'm committed to healthcare for all and prescription drugs. Prices being reined in. I support innovation. I do respect that. Pharmaceutical companies have to make money to invest and reinvest after their profits, but I'm also not for the price gouging and the wholesale racketeering, if you will, for people paying.
Attorney Darrell Jones.
Yeah, thank you. And, Congressman-elect, congratulations again. We really look forward to seeing you down here in D.C. And, one of the things that I wanted to ask you was that one of the things that we were able to detect through our command center through this time in election series was that in Dakota County, Minnesota, that they were requiring people from predominantly Latino backgrounds to take an oath with regards to before they allowed them to vote, that they were voting their conscience. And it sort of raised the question with regards to the voter suppression, the legislation, and the protection of voting rights. Are there any strategies that you think that could be employed to help the Voting Rights Hearings and the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act to get across the finish line?
I don't have a strong opinion on that. I want to align with you and get up to speed. We're going to transition into these offices in the next 2 months. I'd like for you to take the lead, show me. I trust you. You all are true experts on this. I don't get in places and try and reinvent things. I want to follow your lead and support. You have the voice, you have the knowledge. I want to put you on the platform so I can exercise that vote.
But and that's refreshing, I must say, because we need people who, the president of the United States or the president of a corporation, they don't pretend to know everything. And you know this better than I do, Jonathan, Congressman Jackson. The fact is, you bring in people like Attorney Darrell Jones and Attorney Barbara Arnwine, who are experts on voting rights and voter protection and voter suppression. You bring in a political organizer, a political expert, someone who is a real theoretician and a practitioner like Attorney Aaron Connolly, who is also a diabetic who works mightily not to have to ration her insulin. You bring in the leading advocate for Black women, Attorney Janice Mathis, to talk to us. You bring in a political scientist to help us to understand where we are, not just in terms of data, but in terms of history. Why is that important for you to bring these people to the table? Because these are people who should be testifying before Congress, Congressman Jackson.
Santita, it's like when you become a teacher, and I've had the privilege of being a teacher, and they're like, wow, somebody said, it must be great being able to teach and grade papers. I said, no. I said, how else can you learn if you don't sit in front of students? They'll teach you. So, like you seek out experts, and Darrell and And Ms. Mathis has been so focused on the voting rights, and I need to get further up to speed. They've already had the ideas. This now secures the vote that we need to help with the platform that they've already built so we can stay in power. And it's something that I care about. So it's their seat. This isn't my seat. This is our seat. That's been a major part of my campaign. We won, not me. We. When I go to D.C., I've told our constituents, we're going to Washington. I'm not going to leave you behind. I could see so many people's eyes. You know when people give you that handshake when they won't let you go and they're staring you in the eye, soul to soul? And so many people looked at me and says, don't forget us. Don't forget us. So I'm excited to bring their voices along with me. And also, Santita, I would tell you that I'm glad to approach the Congress at 56. I've had enough life experiences and paid tuitions and worked and had businesses. So this seems like the culmination of all my experiences come together. And now I know enough experts in these different bodies and with you, Santita, to bring these people together and also bring some congressional people onto your program so we can continue to inform our base here in Chicago and around the nation so we can have some progress. Some of this is going to be led by information and education. There's a lot of things we simply don't know that people think, oh, there was no voter suppression in Georgia. Just because you went into the bank and couldn't rob it doesn't mean you should not be charged with the crime of attempted robbery. No, they are attempting to rob votes in Georgia. And so that has to be highlighted. But people simply don't know that that's the case.
Would you mind?
And Brother Warnock have overwhelmed the polls, but that doesn't mean there weren't attempts at voter suppression and that there isn't voter suppression.
That's absolutely true. And you can't vote your way out of this. I mean, what Brian Kemp and the Secretary of State have done, they have codified voter suppression. And they have also inspired voter intimidation. It's an awful, awful thing. And when we saw in Greg Palast's movie Vigilante that the Georgia territory was a free territory, they did not allow slavery until Brian Kemp's family brought slaves, African people, into the territory to be slaves. Oh my gosh, Congressman Jackson, what? I mean, the irony of all of that. It's awful. I mean, and seeing Stacey Abrams concede last night when I know so many of her people have been purged from the rolls. It's just terrible. It's awful. Something needs to be done.
The irony and the consistency.
Well, now there's that.
Santita.
Yes.
Santita, could I ask the entire panel this question? How do we go about making voting rights and the passage of the John Lewis Act a national campaign to push that bill? I mean, there seems to be no real national push for that. The President Biden has not put it on his priority list. He didn't talk about it. How do we go about making this a national campaign?
Well, I mean, let me start with the Congressman-elect Jackson. What pressure do you think people need to feel inside in order to make that bill move, Congressman?
Hey, I think it's an outside question.
Okay.
To Dr. Stark's point, you got to popularize this, that the White House can bring in artists and entertainers and influencers and put it on people's minds. Right now, it's not top of mind. It's not in the top 10 or top 100.
That's exactly my point. Precisely.
And people have a lot of struggles day-to-day on food and your medicine and transportation issues and looking for housing if your rent's going up. So this becomes something more of a leisure and a pastime for someone philosophical, although it's urgent. So we have to popularize it to let them know how it's all connected. They don't connect the dire situations they're in with the priorities that we have not advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me give that to you,
Attorneys?
Attorney Janice Mathis.
I've been thinking about this a lot. You know, the GOP strategy was all about crime and the economy. But yet the voters in many jurisdictions were able to sort through that. And by the time we got to election day, preservation of democracy was number one concern of most voters. I think that tells us that we have to listen. It's not a thorough election season or election quarter, but keep the pressure on to talk to people individually. I spent most of the past month walking the streets of rural Maryland, talking to actual voters or potential voters who don't understand fully the connection between their lives and their votes. And so I think from now going forward, however we have to pay for it, whatever we have to do to make that case, is to get out and talk to people one-on-one in small groups, in trusted circles, to help them fully realize what citizenship is. Of course, we can get rid of the filibuster rule, too. That would help.
Oh, there's so much that needs to be done. You know, if you don't mind, let me go to Renee. Renee has called in. Renee, what's on your mind, sweetie?
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I want to congratulate Jonathan Jackson for his win. I feel good because it's rare that somebody that I contribute to their campaign that they actually win. So I'm so hopeful.
I know the feeling.
He
all share that
he was talking about Medicare for all, and I want that to happen. But I'm also concerned about the food that we eat, because food can be medicine too. And sometimes if we get the right foods that don't have all the additives and stuff, we can be healthier. And in this country, anything can be put on the shelves of our grocery stores. But if you go to some other countries, especially some European countries, they don't allow some of the same ingredients that we push. And I know there's a connection between the behavior of some children and the foods they eat, all the dyes and the different additives that are put in those foods that they market to these children. So I want to know if he has any thoughts on that, on regulating our foods. We have these corporations that have monopolies on foods, on grocery stores. They just merged with Kroger merged with Albertsons. So we have fewer choices. We already have food deserts in our communities anyway. But since they're merging these stores, I see some of the foods on the shelves don't seem to be the same quality. And this just happened. I shop at Amazon, at Whole Foods a lot, and after Amazon Bezos bought Whole Foods, I saw the quality at the Whole Foods I shop at go down. So I'm concerned about food. I'm also concerned about human rights. I think our country gives too much of our money to a country that is persecuting Palestinians and taking their land from them, literally taking their houses and bulldozing them. And I know our corporate media doesn't talk about it. They don't talk about it, period. So I'm concerned about human rights violations and who we support with our money as a government. And that's some of what I'm concerned about. And I'm just so happy, Jonathan, that you're going to be in Congress. And even though I'm not in your district, I know Congress and the Senate, you make laws and policies that affect us all. So I'm just happy. And I thank you for taking my call. And I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No, you didn't, Jonathan. She contributed to a campaign that actually won.
Oh no! Thank you. same experience. I'm sitting here looking at these lottery tickets I bought the other day at $2 billion. I'm like, wow. I gotta give it a shot. So I feel the same way. So I'm gonna look at that as a contribution.
Oh, well, you got to know, he did that in memory of our grandmother Gertrude, who loved her lottery tickets. And did she ever win? No.
She was committed. Hey, but the $2 billion, that's the right number to play. I think you're like spot on. We've had 2 grocery stores to close in the district and the city, and during the course of the campaign, Whole Foods and Save a Lot over there in a hard hit neighborhood that's Inglewood, a neighborhood that has the largest disparity in life expectancy in the nation between Inglewood and Streeterville in the same city, 30 years difference. And you can attribute that to not just violence, but food and health. That you can see the pediatric obesity that is now growing. That can be traced directly to food. I had an apple this morning, and before I could get out of the car, it was already changing colors. And I started thinking about when I eat these Hostess apple pies, these things, the apples in there stay the same color for years. So clearly there's a lot of chemicals and additives in it. If you want to see the European community come out in mass action, and the Japanese community come out in mass action, wait till there's a trade agreement and they start trying to send some U.S. food products over there. Man, these people hit the streets and shut it down. You can't give us these chemical infested animals. If they take that off the trade agreement, you eat that at home, but you cannot export that. And that's at the heart of it. So we have, if the average American today weighed what the average American weighed 50 years ago, we would save $1 trillion in healthcare costs because of obesity. So obesity is creating a lot of other chronic diseases. You're going to hear me talking about preventative things that we can do that just make all the necessary sense. When we first started talking about healthcare reform, I was like, this is great. And then when I started seeing the people that were going to the White House meetings, I said, oh, no. The people that were going to the White House meetings to deal with healthcare reform were the insurance companies. The people that should have been at the table for healthcare reform were the food companies. If you reduce the bad food and supply good food to make it more accessible and affordable, then people be healthier. And you can look at our food costs versus other countries. Some of the things we pay too much for, other things are subsidized a lot and aren't healthy at all. So it's a huge priority.
Congressman Jackson, we have also have to make the FDA more accountable in this regard also. I don't know why they haven't really tackled that problem in a more, great way. I mean, they're sort of just more involved in drugs than in food regulation.
Well, I've got about 2 minutes left here because which arcs me to where I really hope that the congressman will go when he goes to Washington, when we go to Washington with him, and bring back FDA officials and housing officials and health officials. Bring them here so they can not talk about us, so they can talk to us and see how we live and what our needs are. I know that he will take these officials to the communities so they can see just how we live. I think that's very important, Congressman-elect Jackson. The last 2 minutes belong to you. What do you want to do, and how can we help you help us?
Santita, I would ask that people please give me the opportunity to ramp up. I know we've got to hit the ground running. I've got to move some furniture around the office. We got to staff up the office. I'm going to be calling upon you all as family members to educate me. Let's set the priorities. Let's keep this discussion ongoing, and let's move it towards action. For example, January 3rd is the swearing-in date. Appropriations going in March. There's a rhythm there that I have to learn about. I'm going to figure it out, starting with orientation. I'll keep you posted So I'm not going to make a commitment and say things that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do understand and learn about it, I will explain it to you as best I can. And I'm humble enough to say I don't understand, I don't know, and I'm going to be listening. So I really do enjoy calling in, and also enjoy, I'm not calling in, listening in your radio program. That's all I would have to say on that at this time.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being open to us this morning. And thank you for being so encouraging as I started this show, for all of your wonderful critique.
I love you. I admire you, and I wouldn't be here without you. And I've been the beneficiary of so much love, and I thank God for my mother and my father and the environment that they brought me in, and to be on this radio program now with the Dr. Starks. I mean, I've always listened to you. I mean, you asking me questions, it throws me off. I've always listened to you. I learned from you. It's like my teachers are asking me questions. What is wrong with you?
Oh, bless your heart.
Oh, my God.
You're like, wait a minute. It's so intimidating. It's like, wait a minute. I'm being quizzed by him. I feel like I'm not before the committee defending my dissertation. I'm like, what is this?
Congressman, and I'm looking around. You keep calling me congressman. I'm looking around for this congressman. I'm like, hold up.
We love you. We love you.
We love you. Well, you're it. You are it. And
I do have an issue with the Food and Drug Administration. You're right. Why is food in the drug administration? Something about that is.
There you go. There you go.
Sometimes I think hey, Dr. Stark, sometimes I think I drink water and gain weight. Every time I try to stop gaining weight, it seems like I put on weight. I don't know what's wrong.
Same here. Absolutely.
Water and gain weight, man.
well, I just love you, and I'm so glad that you were with us today, Attorney Aaron Connolly, Attorney Darrell Jones. Dr. Bob Starks, Janice Mathis, everybody here today, Pastor Vicki Johnson, Dr. Shanina Knighton. I love you, love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much for being with us today on the Santita Jackson Show. And Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson, I love you. And congratulations.
Love you more, Santita.
Impossible. Love you. God bless everybody. See you tomorrow on the Santita Jackson Show.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. And God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow on the Santita Jackson Show, Lord willing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless everybody. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much, Henry. Have a good one.